So the ban list has been out for 2 days now. Most people have solved the format, thinking, okay, these are the best decks of the format, top 5 decks of the format, etc., etc. And we're here to do the same thing. The difference is we're going to talk about all the best decks of the format. We're not going to just talk about 5. We're not going to talk about 10. You guys know how we do things here. We're not going to talk about any arbitrary number. We're literally just going to talk about them all. And hopefully you guys enjoy. So yeah, without further ado, these are, in my opinion, your guys' opinion, these are going to be the best decks that you can play this upcoming format, the July 2019 format. So I hope you guys enjoy. So first and foremost, and of course, bias, of course, I have to start with Danger Thunder or Thunder Dragons. I know you guys are like, of course you'd start with that, Slim. Yeah, I love my Thunder Dragons to death. And yeah, they escaped the ban list pretty decently. Like, yeah, White Dragon went to 1, Black Dragon went to 1, we lost Eclipse Wyvern. Doesn't matter, we still have the Crusadias, we still have Dangers, even though they hit Nessie, Jackalope, and Snake. You can still play 6 of them instead of 9. Then you just fill those other slots with cards like you can play Bigfoot again, you can play Mothman, you can even play Chupacabra, because Chupacabra at least will be like kind of like a Monster Reborn to bring another body to the board. So there's ways to play that deck still. I know all the really good players who play Thunder Dragons like Jesse Cotton and a lot of the other people that are going to Worlds already talked about it. Yeah, Thunder's still a deck. And not only that, you could also play Pure Thunder Dragon. We've talked about Pure Thunder Dragon how many times here on the channel. I think the deck is always underrated. Like, when it first came out, before the Dangers, before any of that, you know, it was played, you know, that way. Titan, multiple Colossus, Titan, you know, was great ending on that board with the Summon Summoner producing all that. And, you know, a lot of people forget about that. They forget about that deck. And the thing about that deck is that you can also play hand traps. You can play hand traps in that deck versus Danger Thunder where you really can't, because you're relying on Sekka's Light, you're not playing any other spells. At least in this deck, you're able to play things like, you know, you can play Call by the Grave if you're worried about hand traps, you can play the Gold Star, you can play the Allure, you can play all these different spells, you can play Melody of the Awakening Dragon to search Levianeer. Like, there's so many things you could do with the deck, and I think that it's definitely something that you should not sleep on. I definitely think Danger Thunder, of course, Guard Dragon, Crusadia Thunder, whatever you want to call it, and Pure Thunder Dragons are really good options this format. Like, I think people should definitely not sleep on Pure. I would love to actually see Pure do something this format, since it seems to always be forgotten about. But yeah, there's that deck. Next, of course, and shout out to Jeremy, shout out to Triff, is Pendulums. There's no denying. Like, I'm not saying which decks are, you know, which is the very best deck in the format. Most people actually think that it's still Danger Thunder Dragon. A lot of people are saying it's Pendulums, and that's the thing, is that Pendulums are insane, you guys. Like, Pendulums are ridiculous. Like, they lost nothing. They lost what? Someone was telling, I was reading your guys' stuff, you know, in the community tab. You know, shout out to you guys again for giving me, you know, a really good list to work with here, and hopefully, you know, your selection is on here. But yeah, they said that, like, the Endymion version or whatever it is lost like a terraforming or something, like, if that even matters. Like, the way I've seen, you know, Pendulums play, every time I profile Jeremy Mitchell, it's like, you know, what did they really lose? Like, they didn't really lose anything. It's kind of crazy. I think the deck is, like, at full power, and yeah, it's nuts. Like, yeah, they only have 1 Electromite, so yeah, Ogre will be important. But one thing that was brought up that was interesting is you could just play cards like Degusta Emerald. Now that it's at 1, you basically could recycle the Electromite if you needed to use it, like, further down the combos. So not only that, they have access to the Guard Dragons. Like, these, you know, they can play the Guard Dragons just like, you know, Thunder Guard Dragon can. And it's just crazy to me. Like, you know, Pendulums, I think, are really going to find their place in this format. They really tried last format. You would see them here and there, but you really couldn't, you know, we wouldn't see too much outside of, like, Jeremy topping or winning events. Like, you really didn't see too many Pendulum in any of the, you know, the top cuts. But I definitely think we're going to see a resurgence this format, 100%. Because the deck is utterly insane. And let's not forget, the Pendulum mechanic is broken, so yeah, it's crazy. Next, we've got Subterra Guru Control. Yeah, I mean, oh no, they lost 1 terraforming for their city card, but they got a 3rd Super Poly. Like, that's so ridiculous. To me, like, that's what's nuts. And another thing I forgot to mention, so one thing that was brought to my attention about the Pendulum deck is, like, their ending board is less susceptible to Super Poly than the Thunder Dragon board is. Because I believe, like, I believe the monsters they end on are, like, light or something like that, and you can't really do much with Super Poly if you're using cards like Starving Venom or using cards like the Predaplant guy or like whatever. So yeah, that's another thing to mention about Pendulums, is they're a little less susceptible to Super Poly. But on back to Subterra Guru, yeah, what did they lose? They still have their 3 Extravagance, they still have all their stuff, they now have 3 Super Poly. Like, it's insane. I played against that deck multiple times, and I'm telling you, like, the control that deck has is nuts. You know, Guru is nuts, being able to, you know, flip up, flips down, being able to get whatever they need pretty much at any point, being able to negate stuff with Fiendus, being able to, to, you know, not only that, but have Super Poly and have it at 3. What it means at 3 is now they're most likely going to see it. They have such a higher potential of opening it. And honestly, going first or going second, Super Poly is ridiculous. Like literally, it just breaks apart your whole board. So definitely do not sleep on Guru Control. Definitely cards like Twin Twister, cards like Reboot, cards like Sekka's like Deco Sekka, they're going to be needed because I know we're going to see a huge resurgence in Guru Control. And I was glad it topped the Nationals. You know, I was glad there was one that at least topped, but definitely expect to see a lot more of that because that deck is a very, very strong control deck. It's probably one of the best like control slash stun decks in the format. So yeah, definitely don't sleep on that. Next, of course, I got True Draco. Shout out to my boy Sloppy Toppy. I know you watching, James. I got you. Yeah, that's a True Draco master right there. But yeah, what did the deck lose outside of a terraforming? We did lose nothing. Like, the deck is still insane. True Draco has proven itself format after format after format. It may not win events, but it can top events. It's very good on the regional circuit. You see it everywhere on the regional circuit. Like, it's actually insane. The deck is so good at, you know, just breaking a board, going second. It's so ridiculous. It's floodgating you out if they go first. Like, Draco is something, like, don't sleep on it. The deck is insane. Like, the deck, I think, has always been insane, like, every format. It hasn't been the best deck, you know, miles from it, but it's definitely a deck that if you don't prepare for, if you don't account for, it's going to kick your ass. Trust me, I've been there. Like, you guys remember my last regionals, one of my main losses was literally to True Draco. I got blown out by the Monarchs Erupt. So I'm telling you, do not sleep on the deck. They still have 3 Monarchs Erupt and a skill drain. They can still, you know, just blanket the board with that and their floodgates. So I'm telling you, I think True Draco is definitely one of the best decks and probably one of the more, like, budget decks that you'll see people playing. And that's another thing is that what's nice about this deck is it's very pretty much budget friendly, so a lot of people are going to have access to it or have ways to get to it. So I think we definitely will see, you know, even more True Draco than we usually do. So keep an eye for that. Like I said, have your backer removal on your red reboots because it's scary, man. Next, of course, I had to throw in Orcas because, okay, yes, they lost Rusty Bardiche. Yes, they lost the access to the double Fog Blade. They probably won't be playing the Phantom Knights anymore in the deck, but they didn't lose Mermaid. They didn't lose Mermaid, so they can still do things. Yeah, they might just end on, what is it, like Crescendo, Galatea, but let's face the facts. They're just going to add in more extenders into the deck, and I know the really good players that have been sticking to Orcas are going to find ways to make the deck, you know, do more than just that. You know, we're in the early stages. Like I said, it's only been 2 days, but, you know, we have to talk about these things because our list was immediate, and that's one thing that, did you guys notice that about this list? It was immediate. It wasn't like, oh, it'll go into effect this date. It was... and that was it. And it was right in effect. So it's pretty crazy. I think that Orcas is definitely a deck. It's not the best deck, you know, by miles because, you know, it did losing the Rusty Bardiche did hurt and, you know, stuff like that. But I think we'll definitely see people still playing it. And, you know, I think Lancia is definitely something you should still have in your side deck because, you know, that, Danger Thunder, like, it's pretty much the same thing. I think Lancia is going to continue to be a side deck staple. And, you know, especially because, you know, you have to have that blowout card, and that's definitely going to be one of the things. So Orcas will definitely be a deck that we'll see more of. You definitely, even though it got hit, and a lot of these decks that I mentioned are the decks that got hit, but they're still good. They didn't, like, get absolutely murdered to where they can't be played, so we'll definitely see more of that. And on that, we also have Salamangreat. My boy already went to locals playing, you know, new version of Salamangreat, went undefeated. Like, the deck is still really good. I know it's just locals, but hey, we don't have any tournaments yet. But I'm telling you, already in the new format, 1 or 2 days, it was actually yesterday, so 1 day into the new format, playing new Salamangreat, so cutting the cards that got hit, the circles and the gazelles, replacing it with other stuff, and already having, like, some success is amazing. Like, the deck, you know, basically can do the same thing that it always did, just less consistently. So yeah, you lost copies of Circle, you lost copies of Gazelle, but you do have cards like Sign Up Mining, you do have cards like Flame Buffalo, you have ways to get to the cards you need to get to. So I feel like Salamangreat, even though it won't be the best deck, it won't be as consistent as it was last format, it will definitely be a deck that will still be here. Like, you guys should know this. Like, I don't think any deck is completely dead. 100%. I don't think any deck is 100% dead to where you just can't play it, to where it's completely unplayable, but I think Salads will still find a way. And that's the thing, is a lot of people are saying, oh no, Salad's dead. Trust me, when those first couple regionals roll around in a couple months, or the YCS rolls around, and you see Salad top, you're going to be like, damn, I was wrong. Exactly. No deck got completely destroyed to where it's unplayable. Same thing with Orcas, same thing with, you know, all these things that you'll notice in this video is like all these decks, they either got a boost or they either, you know, got hit a little bit, but not enough to where the deck is dead. So I definitely think we will see Salamangreat continue to do their thing because the deck is very good at what it does. It's very consistent at what it does. It doesn't seem like much, but when a deck does what it does, all, you know, every turn, you know, consistently, and can just build a board that is enough to win the game, then, you know, that's what you need. You need a deck that can go first or second. So it's a really strong deck. Next, of course, I got Sky Striker. Yes, I know. Multi-roll went to 1. You ogre the multi-roll, it hurts a lot. Ogre's going to, I think, be pretty important in this format. You know, not only for that deck, it always has its applications against Thunder, against other decks, etc. But again, Striker will not die. I think Striker, in a sense, is becoming kind of like the new BA, not in the sense that you can hit it a million times. You know, they don't hit BA. BA is insane. We'll throw BA in there, too, yeah. You definitely can't sleep on Strikers because, yes, multi-roll went to 1. They'll find ways. They still have 3 engage. They still have 3 Widow Anchor. They'll find ways. Trust me. The Sky Striker players will find a way. They had Kagari go to 1 and were still able to do things. So, yes, multi-roll going to 1 is a huge impact, but it's not enough to kill the deck. It's just not. People are still going to play the deck, and that's my whole point is this list was really good in the sense that it did address a lot of the decks, but it didn't make them 100% unplayable. So, I think Sky Strikers will still be able to do stuff. They still have access to Mystic Mind, which is very annoying. I think that's extremely annoying, but since they still have access to it, I think we'll definitely see things happening with Sky Strikers in the foregoing format. So yeah. Next I got Cyber Dragons. So Cyber Dragons are insane. Cyber Dragon doesn't get hit at all. Cyber Dragons are just going to go second and they're going to OTK your ass. Like literally, like what else can I say? The deck didn't lose anything. It still has all its main monsters. It still has machine duplications. It can still play Levianeer like in Sam's build and some of the builds at top. You can still do Cyber Dragon Orcas. Like there are so many things that you can do with Cyber Dragons. Like Cyber Dragons is insane. Like if I was doing a top 5, I'd probably have Cyber Dragons probably in there, to be honest. Like I think the deck is nuts. Like I think the deck is really underrated, and that's what sucks is like people underrate these decks. Then when they top, everyone's just like shocked, and it's like, well, the deck was always good. It always comes down to the pilot too. It comes up to the matchups, but the deck, you know, in theory, you know, you always want to go second. It's just nuts. Like, you know, you can lose a die roll, not care, go second, just kill your opponent. Like I think that's nuts, and also the fact that you can play with the Orcas engine is crazy. We have seen that. We have seen, you know, the way people have played the Chaos monsters in it, and it just makes the deck so much better than it was before. So the deck didn't get touched at all. So definitely do not sleep on Cyber Dragons. Cyber Dragons are gonna come. You're gonna win the die. You're gonna lose the die roll. Opponent's like, you can go first. You're like, oh crap. Like it might be Cyber Dragons. It might be Cyber Dragons. It might be Striker. You don't know what, but yeah, Cyber Dragons just want to go second and just OTK your ass. So yeah, I definitely think I actually expect a lot from Cyber Dragons. I think since the deck didn't really get touched, I think that it's gonna definitely have more of a representation going into more of the events. And next, I still have Altergeist. I know. Yes, Multi-Figure went to 1. Yes, it's the best card in the deck. Yes, you're not going to see it as often. Yes, you're opening Impermanence Multi-Figure, you will be the luckiest player in the game if you open that like at all and if it resolves. But what you do have access to, though, is you do have access to Sangan and you do have access to the Silent and Great Link. Then you have the ability to search the Multi-Figure. You have the ability to bring out the Multi-Figure with the Silicoitus, and you have the ability to have the Silicoitus bounce back the Multi-Figure and reuse the Multi-Figure. Yes, you only have 1, but once you get to it, once you get the ball rolling, Altergeist still does what Altergeist did before. And there's no denying that, yeah, it wasn't the best deck. It definitely was not, but it is annoying to play against. There's nothing more annoying than literally having your stuff bounce and them reusing their multi-faker, resolving their traps, and multi-fakering you again. Like, it's ridiculous. The beauty of Sangan is it can also search the other Altergeist monsters outside of Marionette. I believe it can search all the others. It can search Molaseek. It can search, yeah, it can search like your like your blue guy. It can search Faker. It can search that. So, I mean, you're good to go with that. So Sangan is definitely going to have its applications. I think we'll definitely see the loyal Altergeist players continue to play the deck and make it work. So I'm excited to see what that actually brings. Next, I've got a couple more decks. I got Necrons. They keep getting support. They keep getting their cards back. Like, yeah, they don't have Unicorn back, but they just got Shirt back to 2, so we definitely expect a lot with that. I think that it'll make for a very interesting rogue deck that, you know, again, I'm one of the only people that never played against Necrons in 2015 because I was gone during that format. But yeah, I definitely don't sleep on them. Like, we've already seen them bubble multiple events, and that was before they even had the 2 Shirt. Now they have the 2 Shirt back. I expect a lot. Like, I expect the loyal players to continue to play, and I expect it to do things. It did top regionals. It won a nationals. Like, that's a deck that, you know, tells me right now that even without all its support, it can still do things. So if every list it gets support, Necrons might eventually go back to full power, and that's actually insane. So shout out to all you Necrons players. I want to see what you guys can do. Like, personally, I really want to see it because I miss that format. So honestly, if I play against Necrons and I get my ass kicked, I'm gonna be like, damn, so this is what it was kind of like in 2015. That's crazy. So yeah, I'm actually super excited for that deck. I might even pick it up myself just because I never got to play it. So it's definitely something I'm thinking about. If you guys actually want me to pick it up, let me know in the comments below. I actually might go pick it up, try to learn the deck the best I can, and then, you know, give you guys a profile, and maybe that'll be the deck I play. Who knows? It'll just be really interesting. I always talk about Necrons in a special way because it was such a defining format, and I missed it. Like, ugh. But yeah, Necrons can definitely do something. But yeah, but Monarchs, I got Monarchs on here too. Yeah, I'm never saying no to Monarchs. I shout out to Lithium. If you guys watch one of his latest videos, he shows Domain Monarchs in action in the new format, and it's pretty crazy. Like, the one thing everyone forgets is that Domain is still a hell of a card. If you get a Domain up and you get a Tribute Summon monster, your opponent can't even like access their extra deck. That's like actually insane. So I think Monarchs are definitely something that, yes, they're going to be very low on the tier list, but they're definitely something that, like, if you want to play them for fun, freaking play them. Like, they're definitely a deck you could play this format, and you could take a lot of people by surprise. You can main deck Vanity's Fiend, you can main deck Majesty's Fiend. Those literally tell your opponent no to every pretty much thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you end on Domain and Vanity's Fiend, and your opponent has no way to out that, you just win. You literally just win the game. With having to Ether makes it insane. Being able to bring out extra monsters to create OTKs is nuts. You can play Mega Thestos, Little Thestos, start ripping the hand apart. There's a lot of things you can do with Monarchs. Lithium is probably one of the best Monarch players around, so definitely watch that video because it'll give you guys some ideas. It definitely gave me some ideas because it's a deck I always keep in a binder. There are a couple decks I always keep. Monarchs was one of them. I loved Monarchs. So I actually think I will be doing a Monarch deck profile just because I believe in that deck. Even though I know it may not win an event, it could be enough to get your invite to nationals. It could be enough to maybe even top a regional if it goes, you know, under the radar. And I think that's something that people need to remember is that Domain's a hell of a drug. Vanity's Fiend's a hell of a drug. There's 2 Ethers. So yeah, there's no extra Pantheons, but you can do a lot of things with other cards in the deck to up your consistency. So it'll be interesting to see what Monarchs do. I'd love for them to do something personally, so that'd be awesome. And last but not least, I just got rogue decks in general. Like, there's just too many to list. There's so many different decks that people could play. Burning Abyss, you know, stuff like that. There's that new water deck coming out. There's the Rockets. There's all these decks that are coming out. And, you know, I don't really have them individualized on here just because we don't know what they're going to do. They haven't established themselves yet, but I definitely think that going forward, we'll see like rogue decks. We'll see decks like that actually do something in this format. I think it'll be great because there's a lot of decks you can play. I don't know how many decks this is, you guys. This is a lot. Like I said, we don't do top 5. We don't do top 10 when it comes to this because there's usually always more, and I don't want to be like, oh, I did the top 15, oh, I did the top whatever. No. In general, these are the best decks to play, meaning you can win an event with this deck. You can top an event with this deck. You could get your invite deck. You can go all the way up the tiers of how you want to play, and not only are you getting to play the deck you like, but it's actually good. It's actually decent, and that's the main thing. Like, it just comes down to what your goals are as a player, and I think overall, just having a big list like this is good. It shows that every list we have the potential to do something, you know, especially with the list that changed so many things. Like, so many things got changed on this list. One thing that I mentioned, you know, Solemn Judgment being at 3 is insane. Like, Altergeist will abuse that, True Draco will abuse that. You know, decks can really abuse that. So I'm really excited to see what this format brings. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to those things. Yeah, I'm just excited. I think there's so many decks that could be played. Like, I'm trying to figure out what to play myself. Like, literally, like, I was gonna do my off-season deck, and I'm just not going to do it anymore because basically we got kicked out of the off season real quick as soon as this list dropped. That was unfortunate, but you know, what we can do in this time being is pretty much figure out what we play going into this new format. And this is just to give you guys some ideas. I want to shout out my subscribers for providing a great list. Hopefully I covered most of your stuff. I'm sure there's some decks I forgot. You guys can put them down below. You know, I'm not going to remember all of them, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope this gives you guys more of an idea of your options this format as the best decks to play. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.